For certain shows, there comes a game changer moment where the tone shifts and you realize, along with the main character, how high the stakes actually are. For Jujutsu Kaisen, I feel that moment came in episode 12 for Yuji when he realized he couldn't save Junpei and the subsequent rage fight against Mahito that followed. In fact, I thought this fight was so hype and so well done that I want to dissect its narrative significance as well as how it was effective from an animation standpoint. For starters, Junpei's death is designed to punch both Yuji and the audience emotionally in the gut. Especially if you're an anime only like me, his death came as a shock. I was expecting an enemy turned friend sort of deal, so of course, Yuji's going to somehow save him. He's going to save the day, but nope, joke's on me. That opening of Junpei laughing with the other students was a lie, a glimpse of what could have been, which only makes his death hurt all the more. And boy, does Junpei's death hurt Yuji. This is his worst fear come true. His whole mantra is that he wants to make sure that people have a good death. And yet, here's poor Junpei, unrecognizable, barely in control of himself, reeling from the death of his mother and discovering that he was used and tricked all along by Mahito. Needless to say, it would be hard to be at peace in death after that. So Yuji is desperate here, so he turns to Sukuna. He promises that he'll do anything if Sukuna would restore Junpei to normal. It's a blank check. However, Sukuna completely rejects Yuji's offer, and I can presume two different reasonings behind this. One, Sukuna saw Junpei as worthless and felt Yuji shouldn't throw everything away just for him. He thought Yuji should have some pride here. Or two, we've only seen Sukuna self-regenerate, so he might not be very knowledgeable or capable of restoring someone's soul or healing others in general. And this is what Mahito speculates as well. Who knows? Maybe it's a bit of both. Well, actually, if you're a manga reader and you do know, shh, don't actually answer that. Let anime watchers find out in their own time. Whatever Sukuna's reasonings were though, Yuji's left unable to save Junpei or give him a proper death. It's a hard lesson, but like with many a hero, it's important to recognize that even if you try your best, there is going to be those you cannot save. That's part of the job of a sorcerer. It comes with the territory. On the other hand, we also have Mahito, who also took a few things away from this fight. First off, it's important to recognize that Mahito is a baby curse just learning how to walk here. Okay, that's a bit of a hyperbolic metaphor, but the point is, he's a relatively young curse, and he's still testing out and learning the limits of his own skills here. His shape-shifting is really a creatively based curse ability, so its versatility and effectiveness in battle greatly depends on his own imagination. We see him quickly adapting, learning, and evolving, turning into various weapons, and seeing how far he can physically and literally stretch himself. This is also the first time Mahito is forced to use his domain expansion, and he's also forced to recognize not only that Sukuna is terrifyingly stronger than him, but as Sukuna's vessel, Yuji is the worst possible match for him since his soul's shape can't be changed by Mahito. Like Mahito says, Yuji is his natural enemy, and especially after killing Junpei, Yuji really is going to be going out there for revenge. It's going to be interesting to see the full aftermath of the battle and what will happen the next time they cross paths. I mean, we've already seen a change in Yuji. If you've been watching the opening song throughout this series so far, you might have noticed the animation changed. In episode 13, we now see Yuji despondent and crying on the subway, which visually marks a shift in the story as we move on into the next arc. Okay, I think I've said as much as I wanted to about the plot significance of this fight. Let's move on to the animation of the fight itself. For starters, episode 13 was storyboarded and directed and animated by Hironori Tanaka, who you might recognize as the animation director for episode 27 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Golden Wind, and that very gnarly and gruesome Risotto vs. Doppio fight. Tanaka is an extremely talented animator with the uncanny ability to draw scenes so raw and visceral and so detailed that it makes me physically cringe back in disgust, because the injuries to the characters feel so real, and the Mahito vs. Yuji fight is no exception. Even though characters have supernatural abilities, there's still a sense of believability. There's a deliberate sense of movement and a wonderful sense of weight and impact, like you can feel the punches land, and it brings the term getting bodied to a whole nother level. I'd be lying if I said I didn't find it satisfying to see Mahito being treated as a punching bag, because even though I like his character, he deserved it in that moment. Overall, not only was this fight emotionally impactful, but the audience could almost feel the physical impact as well. And that, for me, is what made this fight so memorable.